big wave of energy on your screen means trouble because it's about to go cross-country, bringing a big Thanksgiving week storm with travel troubles likely. Plus, there might be more behind it, including the chance for major chill for your Turkey Day. I've got the details on that and more. Everything on your screen in this video.
One Nation Web.
Alright, thank you so much for being here with me. Let's talk about the storm that's going to transpire into the plains. It's over parts of California as we start off your weekend, bringing in some rain, some gusty winds, but nothing too severe in the impacts in that region. Now, where this is going to begin to pick up is over parts of the mid-south for us here, with the severe risk for our Sunday the 19th being around level 1 expected right now for parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas on your Sunday. And then as we head towards Monday the 20th, parts of the mid-south, including the Arklatex, and on over towards Mississippi and Alabama getting in on a potential level 2 risk, a little bit more elevated as the ingredients get more ripe at that point. So let's time this out with the European model. You can see as we make our way towards our Sunday, the trough that makes its way into parts of the southwest will begin to make its way on out over the plains. Some snowfall wrapping back around into parts of Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, getting this in the mountains there. Notice it'll take a little while to transpire, but as we go Sunday night into Monday, maybe some brief severe thunderstorms, but overall just some scattered thunderstorms here over this region as the low just begins to get itself together during that time frame. Both models agree that it'll be pretty weak as we go Sunday night into Monday, but overall the European model really beginning to go gangbusters on this low as we make our way towards our Arkansas, towards parts of Tennessee and Mississippi as we make our way in towards our Monday night into our Tuesday, bringing in a nocturnal severe weather threat potentially for us there over that region, especially again towards the Gulf Coast part of that region. And then as the system moves east, breaking up a little bit, but still bringing much needed rainfall into areas eastward, some rainfall into parts of the mid-Atlantic. So yes, pretty much rainfall for everyone out of this, with the exception of some snowfall getting going into parts of interior northeast, maybe starting out as some snow into parts of New York as well. Now with your mid-level wind, this is the European model. Notice this very U-shaped trough force here. That's really indicative of a stronger system riding the subtropical jet. Also notice this piece of energy riding on down off the polar jet stream there in southern Canada. These two areas pretty much combine along the east coast, and that's how this system really continues to make its way offshore with that extra pulse of energy. That's what really helps to keep this together and really strengthen this low even more as it makes its way through the northeast. Now the GFS has actually shown weakening trends on the system. We'll talk about that in a second, but go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel so you can get all the updates you need about severe weather, winter weather, and the tropics. Now back to the models here with your GFS model. You can see right here over parts of the central United States, it takes until Monday morning for the system even to have any sort of activity with it. So the GFS pretty much saying nothing goes on your Sunday and Sunday night. In fact, it doesn't show severe weather over the mid-south towards our Tuesday, as you can see on the southern end of that line there, starting off with some snow and a little bit more snow into parts of Pennsylvania and the northeastern part of it anyway for us here, maybe even New York City starting off with some snow in this scenario. Not much for the Great Lakes or the Midwest overall with both models, what we're seeing right now. And then that system moves eastward. Notice it heads off the shoreline, and there's not as much energy up there in Canada to help this out, so not as much snowfall makes its way eastward towards parts of Maine as well as interior New England, again with that scenario. So with the mid-level wind with the GFS model, here's why these systems are a little bit weaker. You can see first of all the trough is a little bit more flat, really just a normal diluted jet stream force here with your subtropical jet there as we make our way into the weekend and early next week. And then as we head towards the back half of next week, as that system progresses northeastward towards our Wednesday, Thursday, once again what you're noticing here, the winds are just a little bit weaker there in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, which means that system that tries to pick it up in the northeast just wouldn't be able to do so as much. Still, though, a quick maybe 4-6 inches of snowfall, which is, some snowfall that we haven't seen yet into parts of the northeast. Even places like New York City could pick up on this with the GFS model, as well as some of that snowfall back on over towards the mountain west. And then with your European model scenario, it shows a heavier stripe of snow, but a little bit more confined to the interior northeast, as I mentioned a minute ago when I showed that playthrough. And you can see over parts of the Great Lakes maybe a quick flash of some snowfall, but not much. By the way, this is through the start of your Thanksgiving. So that's what we've got there in the snowfall department. Now let's talk about some other things. Here's your temperature anomalies with the European model. You can see we've got warming trend going on over parts of the plains as we head towards early next week, with temperatures around 10, 15, 20 degrees above where they should be for this time of the year. Now, dare I call this an omega block? Yes, that's when you have warm air over the central parts, cooler air on both sides of the country, and it kind of makes a pattern that looks like this with low pressure on either side. We've kind of got that right now because we've got a brief system hitting the east, but overall that's staying off the coast mostly, but the cooler air wrapping around behind that. Anyway, that's not part of this video, but what is part of this video, 10 degrees below average making its way heading eastward. Now, this doesn't sound like a lot, but now we're getting towards where 10 degrees below average is when you're talking about winter-like temperatures here over parts of the Ohio Valley, parts of the Northeast, as well as the Great Lakes. So all these areas, be ready for that. Warming up by the time we make our way in towards our Turkey Day along the western, about a third to a half of the country there on the west coast. Also notice some cooler air wrapping back on around behind that. That could be a different system, and we'll brief on that in just a minute, but let's look at that temperature outlook for your Thanksgiving through your November 27th, basically covering the rest of that Thanksgiving weekend for you there if you have all that time off and you're traveling. We've got cooler air over pretty much the entire eastern United States, especially focused there over the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. So while you might not get a lot of, say, snowfall there or anything there in the Midwest, at least prepare for a brief, quick rainfall maybe towards the start of the event, and definitely the cool down behind it. Now, with your zones to watch, through November 23rd, we're looking at snowfall over parts of the north central United States. Those are the zones I'd really highlight for that. Maybe some severe over the mid-south. Those are the main focal points with this system. Of course, some rainfall in between. Now, your Euro model, let's break down the potential for a storm November 24th through November 27th. It's going to come kind of slide on through here between some areas of high pressure along the west coast, and one that's going to be, of course, with the cooler air in the east. You can see a little area of snowfall there entering parts of, say, Wyoming for us at that point, while the cool air continues moving eastward and kind of sliding this system quickly. There's going to be very strong forcing in upper levels of the atmosphere here, very strong winds. This is going to move this system eastward quite quickly overall as it looks right now. This could be a clipper, as the Euro shows it, for parts of the central parts of the United States, really just clipping everyone quickly with a brief shot of light rain or snowfall, then heading east, maybe picking up steam as it moves into the northeast and picking up the intensity as well with some heavy snowfall into parts of those areas. Something the GFS shows is the initiation of a different system to combine with that there in the northeast that comes off the Gulf Coast. We'll talk about that in just a second, but you can see with that bringing some heavier snowfall beyond those totals I just showed you earlier with that secondary system, but that would be after Thanksgiving. So the system I've been talking about is before your Thanksgiving travel. Now we're talking about a storm that could be towards the end of your travel. Maybe you're coming home from Thanksgiving. So let's talk about this with the GFS. Notice rainfall building, the entire southeast covered in a massive rain Friday, November 24th. At this point, with a convergence zone going to be in the northeast there. So it still shows the clipper there over the Midwest, like the Euro shows. And look at how those converge. Massive snowfall to end your Thanksgiving weekend for us here over parts of New York State. We've got Massachusetts. We've got Vermont. We've got New Hampshire. This could be a big, whiteout event there of snowfall if this were to play out. So we need to very closely monitor this with both models, since this is looking so weird now, with the chance for two storms, one before Thanksgiving, one after it, one affecting your early travel, one affecting your late travel there. Now, with your potential tropical storm here, this could become vents over parts of the Caribbean. We've got tropical storm watches up parts of southeastern Cuba, parts of Haiti. We've got Turks and Caicos, southeastern Bahamas, all being impacted by this. It is past Jamaica now. Very heavy rainfall in those zones. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Go ahead and like, subscribe, comment to the channel. It means a lot to me if you do that. Of course, if you're commenting down below, just let me know what you want to know, and I will respond to you. I normally respond within a few hours. Here are the credits, everyone. Have a great day.
One nation weather.